In this video, we will perform feature selection on IRIS dataset using chi-square test in Python. Here you can see we are doing feature selection. Dataset we used here IRIS dataset, and the method that we are using for the feature selection from this dataset, that is chi-square test method. So instead of this method, you can use another method, and instead of this dataset, you can use another dataset. Now step by step, we will try to understand how we can perform feature selection using this method in Python. So here you can see we have the dataset, that is IRIS dataset. This dataset is also available in Python, and we can directly access this dataset through scikit-learn library. So there is no need to download any external file. We can directly access this dataset, and we will load this dataset that we will cover in the upcoming slides, how we will load the dataset then perform feature selection. So first we have this dataset, that is IRIS dataset. So this dataset contains 150 samples, that is we have here 150 data points. Here each data point represents a flower. For example, you can see here we have total 150 data point, and here each data point represent single flower. So we have total 150 flower sample. In this data set, we have 3 flower species. You can see here IRIS setosa, IRIS versicolor, IRIS virginica. So we have 3 flower species, and you can see we have 3 species, and in each species we have 50 data point, or you can see 50 sample per species. So first we have data set. Inside this data set we have total 150 sample, and here you can see the species. Total we have 3 species, and each species has total 50 data point. You can see setosa, then we have versicolor, next we have virginica. So each species have 50 sample, and each data point represent here a flower in the data set. So we have 50 for each flower species. So what we will do, we will load this data set and separate the feature from the species for the further analysis, model training, testing, prediction, and other. So next you can see here we have attributes, that is features, and here you can see features include sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width, all in centimeters. You can see here. So you can see here in this flower, this one is the versicolor species. This is IRIS versicolor species. Here you can see this is the petal, and then we have here sepal. Done. So we have features, that is sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. For each species we have these features, or you can say attributes, that is sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. So we will select the features using chi-square test method. So we are using here chi-square test to select the features from the dataset. Here you can see we have species. Here you can see we have species, sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. For the first species, you can see we have all the values given. Then for the second species, you can see we have different data points. Then we have third species, and for the third species you can see we have different petal length, petal width, sepal length, and sepal width. Now we will use this chi-square test method to select the features. So using this method, we will calculate a score that reflects the strength of the relationship between each feature and the species. If we obtain the highest score, it means there is stronger correlation. So we're using this method to calculate the score, and based on the score we will check the correlation between species and the features. So here in this data set we will perform feature selection Here we will select the features that will be helpful in differentiating between 3 flower species. So we are using here the chi-square test for the feature selection, so we can easily differentiate between these 3 features. So again, I'm repeating what we are doing here. We are just using this method for the feature selection, so we can easily differentiate between these 3 flower species. First, we will import here important libraries. Before you import here important libraries, make sure they are installed. So first we will install the libraries. So if it is not installed, then first install the library. After that we will import the library. So first we will import here the dataset. So we are using here IRIS dataset. So we load this dataset. So we are using here scikit-learn. So first we imported here the dataset. So here we are using the library, that is scikit-learn. This library is also used for a number of tasks. So right now, so from this library we will access the dataset. We will import the dataset, that is IRIS. After that we will import here chi-square feature selection. After that, if you are doing further testing and training, then we will split the data into training and testing sets. So here we will import train test split from sklearn model selection. This one is the optional step. We will just perform here the feature selection. After that we will calculate here model accuracy. This one is also optional. Then you can see the last library we use here to plot the results. So we used here matplot library to plot the final results. So first we will load the data set. So for this we already imported the library. Now we will fetch this IRIS dataset. Here you can see load IRIS. This one is the function that we used from the sklearn.dataset. So this is used here to fetch the IRIS dataset. This dataset contains our measurements and their classification. So next we will separate the features and the target value. Features, you can see we have sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. So here we will separate feature and the target variable. Target variable, that is the species name. So we're going to separate here the species. So target is here the species name. We will separate the loaded dataset into 2 parts. So here we have X and Y. X hold the features, done. That is here the flower. Measurements like sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. Then we have Y, that is used to store the target variable, that is which is the classification of the flower species, whether it is IRIS setosa, versicolor or virginica. Done. So here X is used to hold the features and Y is used to hold the species. Now we will display the dataset and the feature name. So simply we are using here the print command, display the features name from this dataset. Now we will perform feature selection using chi-square test. So here we are doing the feature selection with this method. This part aim is to reduce the number of features used for the classification. So we need minimum feature in the final result, because if we have minimum feature in the final result, it will improve efficiency and the model performance. So using this method so now we will reduce the number of features. Here you can see we have chi2 x y. So we will perform here chi-square test to evaluate how well each feature correlate with the target variable, that is the flower species. So now we will assign score to each feature, done, based on this correlation. Now we will decide that how many features we want to select. Right now we will select top 2 features. So value for k we have here 2. So now we will set the number of features to select. Right now we will select the top 2 features because we will reduce the number of features for better performance. After that, we will extract the selected features. Now we will extract the features with the highest chi-squared score. Done. So here you can see selected feature is equal to chi-square. So here we will sort the features and we will select the features having the highest score, and we will store the selected feature in the selected feature names. So in the end, finally we will display the selected feature names based on their score. So here we will print the score and then selected features. So display the score and the feature names. Now feature selection is done. Now further, if you want to perform testing and training, then we will split the data into testing set and training set. So here we are splitting 20% for the testing and rest 80% for the training. So if you are doing further, then you can split the data set and perform other operations, and then you can train your machine learning model. Like here you can see we have KNN classifier. So further you can do this. After that we will make the prediction on the testing set, and then we will finally evaluate the performance. So we'll evaluate the performance and check the accuracy and then display model accuracy, and finally we will create a plot to visualize the relationship between chosen features. Now we will run the code and display the final output. Here you can see all features name. We have sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. Now you can see the chi-square score we calculated for each feature. For each feature you can see a score is calculated. For sepal length it is 10.81. For sepal width it is 3.71 and so on. Petal length it is 116.3126. For petal width it is 67.04. So now here we will select the feature having the highest score. So among all you can see highest score we have 116.31 and 67.04. That is petal length and petal width. So you can see here now the selected features. We have petal length and the petal width. And further you can see the plot here. You can see here we have the petal length and here we have the petal width, and you can see we have 3 spaces. So here you can see we have 4 features: sepal length, sepal width, petal length and petal width. So when we run the code, you can see the first feature, sepal length, it is sepal length that is analyzed but not selected. Next, this feature, that is sepal width, it is also analyzed but not selected. Third feature, we have petal length, it obtained highest score. This one is selected and it is used, and it can be used as input for model training and prediction. Next we have petal width, that is also selected as the second most informative, and it is also used as input for the model training and prediction. So the output you can see petal length and petal width. They are considered as the 2 most informative feature for differentiating. They can be used for differentiating between flower species based on chi-square test. Highest score suggests here the stronger correlation between feature and the species. So these 2 features will be most helpful in differentiating between these 3 species. So what we have here, one limitation: this test does not tell that which feature is better in isolation. It just indicates the strength of the individual relationship with the target variable. So in some cases we can combine multiple feature with moderate score that can be more effective for the classification than depending on one single feature with the highest score. So here aim is to focus on the most informative data point for building classification model that can accurately predict flower species based on petal measurement. So that's all about this video. If you have any questions, you can comment below, and thanks for watching this video.